this?
Well, no, it's totally all right. I can tell you for a fact why. I can tell you the reason. My sister, actually, it started because she's 7 years older than I am. She actually was told by another girl who went to school, lived in London, the CNIB, which is the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, set this woman up with my mom because this woman had heard of the school. Her daughter had went to the school. So he's like, set her up with my mom, and my mom went, or her mom went to visit my mom and told her a lot of stuff about the school. And I had, if I'd have known, I wish that, because when I got a little older, like there was starting to get schools in where I lived that had, where special schools, like I'm not special, but I mean school for the disabled, or like people, they started putting aids school, classroom aids into the equation. Like I I will be honest, I didn't finish school. I had a really tough time. So I left at 18. Actually, I got suspended, and I just decided not to go back. And my parents never really fought me on it. I'm sure my dad wanted to, because they left school, and they didn't want me. You know how parents don't want their kids to make the same mistakes. Personally, I just wanted to get out of there. It was like 12 years of as I could say, 12 years of hell. And that's just my opinion. Now, I know some people don't like people saying hell, comparing school to hell, whatever. Hell on earth. People don't like that saying. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh,
Yeah, yeah, and in this case, that is fine. My content is marked two things. It's marked for 18 adults only, and it is marked as explicit on Apple iTunes. So actually, you're allowed to say that a little bit. I mean, we both of us cannot get out of control, but once in a while, you can say that. It's not going to be a problem.
oh,
But well, you know what? I'll tell you. I'll tell you why I started marking it as my content as explicit. After Ken told the story, after Ken told his stories, I thought, yeah, this is not kid friendly anymore. I've crossed a line between normal and kid friendly. My content is not for children, and it is marked that way on purpose. So, but the listeners at home, all of them are adults, would want to be educated about why your experience, as you put it, was quote unquote hell. What made it quote unquote hell? Tell some stories if you want.
okay. You'll hear a lot of it. You'll read a lot of it in my book. But I was I was picked on more than anybody else, not just by the kids, by the staff, people who were supposed to be in authority figures. I won't, I was always afraid growing up, afraid to go back to
And
school.
you do not need to say what their names are, obviously. But
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
no,
I
I
kind
don't
of need.
mention names.
Number one, I kind of need I need an example that would lead to a fault. So Robert, here, let me help you out, man. Like, say, well, for example, when I was, age X, I was doing this activity, and then, ABC, and then, say something. I need a constructive example here of exactly something that happened, so that and the reason I'm needing the example is to illustrate to people precisely why blind students and blind people need to be mainstreamed in our modern lives. To show that putting people with disabilities into groups like this never really works. And we had a huge problem with it in the United States in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Some certain very specific things happened, and our country is trying to move away from it. But countries all over the world are trying to move away from basically institutionalizing. Not saying your school was an institution, just a verb. Many countries around the world were moving away from the institutionalization of disabled people because it really, overall, it hurts.
Oh yes,
Overall,
I went to a play about it. Someone, a friend of
so
mine.
give our listener at home, if you're, imagine you are not talking to me, imagine you're just having a conversation with a listener of this program, and they want to know, okay, Robert, so tell me, what's something that really happened to you that made the experience quote unquote hell?
Okay, I will use an example that I will. One of the examples, anyway. I put in my book. I was at a camp out. I was pushed into a pine tree, and it hurt because I wouldn't stop. You. There's a group. You know the band Queen. You know Freddie Mercury and
Yeah,
Queen.
yes, absolutely, yes.
I'm a big Queen fan. I have been ever since I was a kid. My favorite, not my favorite song, but I was singing this song. There was a particular song called "Bicycle Race," and this staff had asked me to stop singing it. I wouldn't, so she was like, grabbed me and held me against the pine tree, and
And did your parents ever find out about that? Did
I don't know. I might have, but I didn't think it was gonna do a darn thing. It was like they didn't do anything about it. As far as I knew, no one did anything about it. I was afraid. I think I was afraid to tell. Well, they knew. My parents knew that this person um, made me afraid. They just said, my mom just said, "You tell her this, you tell her that," but it never did anything. This I will not get into, but it was a little late, but this person, I was actually on my last year, on my senior year, she wasn't there anymore. And in later years, I found out that she got caught. Basically, she got caught abusing another kid.
hmm, hmm.
And
Well, karma. You know what I'm a believer of? I'm a believer of karma. Karma will take care of that.
oh, definitely. I just wish that I could have spoke up and
Well,
said,
but you know what though? The problem is you couldn't have, and that's so, and that is, it's not fair. It's not right. But the truth is, oftentimes I have found to be true that in workplaces and institutions and bureaucracy, speaking up is just something that never works.
no.
And and in my country, it is the same. Um, I have faced all sorts of similar things to that, not specifically being pushed into a pine tree. That's it's a very strange thing to, regardless of abusive. It's very strange. So that sounds like a very dysfunctional and strange person. Um,
Oh, yeah,
and
another example.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was actually pushed into a garbage can by the same person.
Oh my God.
Told me, get in the garbage, your garbage.
Really?
Yep. I was putting my snack away in the
Oh my
cup.
God.
She done a lot of hurtful things to me. She threw my tape recorder in the garbage.
Oh my God. Yeah, this just sounds like a horror. This sounds like a horrible, horrible person. Yep, every country has those. Apparently, they have them in Canada too. Every country's got to have a horrible person like that. Oh, well, it's very unfortunate. But the other thing that's true is that a lot of people, in my opinion, which this show is about my opinions, a
Of
lot of
course.
people, a lot of people would just, well, I'm glad I'm glad you're such a I'm glad you're enjoying this. I'm glad you're such a strong listener to my show. Thank you. Yeah,
Definitely.
it's important to remind listeners from all over the world that everything I'm saying, none of what I say or all of this show is my opinion. I try to tell you what the facts are, and then I give some informed opinions about it that I have found in general that people who work in the education field, many of them are wonderful, are amazing people,
Definitely.
absolutely without doubt. And then there's the
Definitely.
other then there's the other half of the people who are in education because either they truly want to be hurtful, they truly want to hurt people, or or they simply have, some of them have seem to have very low functioning skills themselves and have to take a lower paying job in an institution or an educational setting. So that's, I mean, it's no excuse, obviously, but that explains why someone that bad would be around a child. It as I say, shocks me, didn't shock me.
Exactly.
I was
No, there
surprised. I
were
wasn't
some
surprised.
there's some wonderful people. A teacher even I had a teacher that took me to her house a lot.
Okay, no, okay, that's funny because in my country that's not appropriate. See, that would be creepy. That would be
Oh,
no. In the United States, in my country, wherever it might be, there's a huge divide in our society between adults and children, and adults never talk to children. When you're a child, you're trained to not talk to adults, and people who work in schools are not allowed to really interact with children outside of the classroom. So if there was a story about Rob went over to Mr. Smith's house, his science teacher, for dinner last night, there would be an investigation. It would never happen. I mean, unless, I don't know, unless you live in the same neighborhood as the teacher, and the teacher and your parents are like friends or something, and you all know each other, then maybe that would happen. But it would be
like Boy
very.
Meets World. If you ever watched that show.
I guess not. I don't know what that is.
Oh,
See,
it used to be. It was a
in
show
my
in the
country,
'90s.
well, okay, in my country, we don't have these Canadian shows. So I think you're
Oh
you're
no,
just.
it's American.
Oh, I
It's
guess
in
I
the
didn't
U.S.
watch
It
it
was an ABC, a part of the
though.
TGIF lineup. But you were just you're 28, so you're probably a baby when that show came up. But it was about
Yeah.
a kid whose family who lived next door to the teacher for years, even and and he'd always go. They'd always have this, so he'd go and talk to his teacher from the fence and get advice.
Oh
And
boy. Oh
Boy
boy.
Meets World. It's called Boy. You should look it up. Boy Meets World. And now they, it's a really. But no, I guess not in your country. I guess there are different laws, different rules that
Well,
people
it's different.
follow.
It's different social norms and different social expectations. Um, but yeah, wow, that's creepy. Going over to a teacher's house. I mean, it just wouldn't. It wouldn't socially. It wouldn't happen in the. We've had a lot of problems with teachers in the United States. All sorts of strange. No, no, yeah, you never go over to a teacher's house in the United States.
Oh, you see, yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty. It was just pure,
Oh,
innocence
Uh,
there.
oh, that's right. I'm sure. I know. I'm sure it was fine, but that's something that wouldn't have. You know what? You know what? I have to say this about something. When you mentioned that, do you watch YouTube all the time?
I do.
Oh, okay, good, good. Do you love horror? Do you love scary videos on YouTube?
I don't watch those.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me, man. Because I was gonna mention that there's a very famous YouTuber in your great country. You're gonna know him when I imitate him.
Okay.
And this is the two most famous words that he says, and guess who it is. If not, I'll tell you, but you're gonna know it right away. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Number 15.
Hmm.
Number 15.
Number 15.
But like this. Number 15.
Hmm. I should know him, but
Yeah, yeah. What if I his channel, he is a content creator in Canada, and he produces all sorts of great stuff. Do you want to take a guess? You have no idea?
no idea.
No idea. You're
No
gonna be
idea.
so mad when I tell you.
Yeah.
Ch- Chills.
Never heard the name. I'll be honest.
So it's some guy in Canada, and he has these channels. He has a channel named Chills.